Well, welcome back, my friends, to another rousing rendition of Choir Boys Outdoors. A Tempest Knives Microburst rendition. Guys, before we ever get into the video, do me a favor. I'm working on a little video series. We might do a live on Blade Talk, and we're going to have some cameos. We're going to do some different things, but I'm working on a little series. So I need you guys to do me a favor. Right now, put in the comments what are 3 factors you look for when purchasing a pocket knife. What are 3 things a pocket knife must have before you spend money on it? If you would do that for me, I would appreciate it. I'm trying to get in as much data as I can. There's no right, there's no wrong. Just put the 3 things you look for. Doesn't matter what it is. I want to know. If you will do that for me, I sure would appreciate it, and it will help our little series as we go. That being said, guys, there was a time in this country where 22 veterans a day took their own lives. Now, stats are everywhere. Articles are everywhere. There's all kind of info out there. A lot of it's incorrect. That's why here at the channel, we just focus on the number 0 vets. We love you. You have a place here, and anything over 0 is simply unacceptable. We're back to blue over here. We support live, all to the chagrin of many. Now, listen. That's a personal choice. I don't ask you to do that. I have my reasons for doing that. And we can disagree. That's fine. Now, how do you do that, Scab? Well, simply, I try not to break the damn law. It's pretty easy for me. And finally, if you are an addict, never quit quitting. So, a lot of info on these knives. Now, one thing about it is, Tempest is owned and ran by Casey Spyron. If you're familiar with that name, Casey is over at Knivesfast. His YouTube channel is Knivesfast. If you are not familiar with Casey, you need to be. He's a great knife reviewer, and he's just a good dude. Casey is an awesome dude. I've reviewed a couple of his designs, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a big fan. I really, really am. He makes some very, very functional designs. Now, he will also send you a damn novel the size of War and Peace on said designs. So we've got a lot of info to cover here. I'm glad he did, because I kind of got carried away with this video, and we do a buttload of cutting. I can tell you up front this, or I can tell you this. In my experience, I found this knife to be very, very easy to work with. The ergos are comfortable. They do a fantastic job with the micarta. I didn't find any real hot spots in the handle. We could go pinch grip. We varied the grip several ways. Every way we varied it was very comfortable. But let's cover some of this info, because I think it'll help you out a lot. First of all, let's just run through the list. Tempest Knives. Okay, that's Casey. This is the MicroBurst. Kubi is going to be the OEM. They do a fantastic job. This knife, the MicroBurst, will come in 2 options. Black micarta with a stonewash finish blade. It'll have shiny silver hardware. Okay, that's a pretty good look there. That blacked out micarta and that stonewash, that's a pretty dope look with the shiny silver. Now, for the more tactical guys out there, the guys who just like the blacked out stuff, the second version is going to be a black micarta handle with black wash blade and hardware. So there's a lot of guys who just like that. It's low key. It's just your jam, okay? And honestly, if I was going to get it, I would probably go with the stonewashed and the shiny, but that's more my speed. So we'll have 2 options. Let's rehash. Black micarta with stonewashed blade, shiny silver hardware. Or black micarta, black wash blade, black hardware. The prototypes will always be in D2. Now, Casey is leaning more towards 14C28N for his production run, and he might have already chosen that. I'm not sure. I like 14C28N. I really, really do. But now I'm also a fan of D2. The price range on this is going to be between 80 and 99 bucks. So it's going to be affordable. I'd say that's a very budget-friendly option there. Between 80 and 99, that's a good price point. And it's just a good-looking little blade. Now, the overall length is going to be 7 inches. The blade length is 3 inches. The cutting edge is 2.5 inches. Now, you can see there that old Scabber is a genius and decided to wear gray blacked out black wash shorts with a black micarta and you know, pocket clip there. So not the best choice on my part, but you can see there it's a deep carry pocket, rides very well in the pocket. A lot of guys are concerned with weight. It's 3.25 ounces or 3¼ ounces, very light, very, very light, good to carry. Titanium hardware and back spacer, so there's some stability there. Now, they're going to make some changes to this model. We're going to talk about what we have here, but let me tell you what's coming. Let me tell you some of the additions. They're going to add a left side clip option with 2 slits and a flat screw. So that's going to be kind of cool. Going to give you that ambidextrous option there. Add chamfer across the face of the lock bar where your thumb hits to engage. So they're going to chamfer that lock bar a little bit. Adding a slight amount of lock bar access. That's been asked for. They heard you and they're doing that. And then some guys have complained about the thumb studs being a little sharp. I didn't really find that, but then again, I've got some pretty busted up dead hands. So what they're going to do is they're going to smooth those thumb studs out a bit. The one thing I was going to say about this knife that I like, and you can hear me opening and closing it there, I like the action on this knife. I like it a lot. I really, really do. I have fidgeted with this knife a bunch. It has pretty good detent on it, I would think. It is I think that's a bolster lock. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's a bolster. Just comfortable. Now, I'm looking at the blade. The only billboarding on this blade, right behind the thumb stud on one side is D2, and of course they're going to change that now to 14C28N. And then we have the Tempest Knives logo. Very small, not a lot of billboarding there. I really like the look of this knife. I think that's the pivot. Y'all have to forgive me. I'm still learning. It looks like a hubcap, and I like that a lot. It gives it really a classy look. Just looking at the knife, let me tell you a couple things I see. It's got some very, very nice jimping right there at the bottom of the blade. I like that a lot. It has a working choil, a true working choil. It'll fit my fat finger, no hot spot there. So when I go with that fencing grip, I've got some very good jimping to hold on to. I've got my finger choil there that works very well. There is a slight indentation in the handle to disengage the lock, but you can also put your bird finger there when I'm choked up. That's pretty comfortable. I feel like you can lock it in pretty good. Now, I wanted to give you kind of, the handle length is 4 inches, but let me give you, we're going to call it an inner grip. Okay, the inner grip is right 3.5, but if you go up to the top of that choil and you're in a fencing grip for working, you are now at about 4 1/8. If you go all the way to the bottom of the handle, you're right at, it looks like about 4 3/8. So any hand in the world using that choil, you can get a good grip on this knife. It's also very, very comfortable there. The things that I really like, I like that there's a tip on this knife. I don't know if you'd call that a Wharncliffe or a sheep's foot, but it has a nice tip to it. It has a nice, a lot of people would call that a modified, and I wouldn't. It's got a great place you can rest your finger for the old man pinch grip. I really like that. I love the micarta. This micarta is smooth and soft in hand, and I'm able to get a pretty good grip. As far as manipulating the knife, flipping it around back and forth, pretty good control. Again, that weight is going to play into it for a lot of you guys. 3 1/4. There's a lot of guys who set themselves a limit of about 4 ounces for various reasons. So at 3 1/4, this fits that bill, opens and closes one-handed very easily. And for me, that is a factor, okay? Being able to draw a knife, open a knife, use the knife, close the knife, put the knife back with one hand is a massive bonus for me. There's a lot of times with work and in the environment that I work in, and I do realize that not everybody does that, but I do, There are times where I have to reach down. I'll be holding something with my left hand. I'm having to take my right hand, pull the knife, open I don't want to fight with it. The thing that I love about this knife is this, and I've used it at work a day or two too. I did some, while I was inside. I can't use one sandblasting. Everybody knows that. But when I'm inside the shop, if I'm powder coating, if I'm doing something inside, I can. And there was twice this week where I literally was holding something with my left hand and I needed to cut it free. I was able to do that with this knife. Sounds like a small thing, but I'm going to tell you something. For me, it made all the difference in the world. Now, hopefully you've been paying attention as the knife's been working, because it is a little workhorse of a blade. I like doing this particular demonstration here, stripping wire, cutting wire. I did that a lot in my previous job. And guys, that's kind of what I based the channel on. I realize not everybody works in an industrial environment. I realize not everybody needs a banger or a clanger. But again, that's why I'm a big fan of Casey's designs. He makes an industrial strength knife, or designs an industrial strength knife that looks like a gentleman's carry. There's a lot to be said for that, right? This is a Sunday go to meet and carry, but you've got a knife that'll hold up. It does the job well. Let me give you a couple other little specs that matter to me. The blade width at its widest point is 1 1/8 inches. So you've got a hellacious little slicer here. The handle thickness, I've got right at 3/8. So pretty good little thickness there. Not super thick, but comfortable in hand. This one came with a wire pocket clip. I'm not sure that they all will. They may. I should have confirmed that. I know Casey likes wire pocket clips. I can tell you this, with the way I'm gripping it, my ring finger wraps around that pocket clip, and the way that little indentation there, it's like it was made for my ring finger, so it doesn't get in the way. Now, while I've been narrating this video, I've actually stopped and just kind of been holding the knife, manipulating the knife, trying different grips. You say, Scab, would you do that during the shooting? Yeah, you do that all the time. When you're shooting a video, especially the way we shoot videos, you wind up swapping grips a lot, but you're not thinking about it. Now that I'm sitting here kind of thinking about it, manipulating it while we're watching and doing the demonstration, I really, really, really like the feel. I've gone through 2 or 3 different grips. Can't find any hot spots to speak of. I mean, I really can't. Now, one of the reasons that I'll always show you the blade is because what you're looking at there is steel belted sandblast toes, okay? So it doesn't, obviously you've seen it cut a bunch now on this channel. So we don't try to be deceptive and go, oh, it's super hard to cut. It's difficult. But I show you that because those little wires will chew up an edge. Why is that important? You say, Scab, that's not even the right steel that we're going to get. No, but it's the same heat treat. It's Kubi's heat treat, right? So if it'll hold up with these tests, then it stands to reason their heat treat's going to hold up. Now, having said that, let me say this. There were 6 or 7 other reviewers who got this knife before me. Typically speaking, it's a good idea to send me a knife last. All I did when I got the knife was I stropped it a little bit. The edge has held up pretty good. Now, by the time we were done with this video, we had basically taken away the paper slicing ability. That doesn't mean it's not sharp. That's not what it means at all. It just means it's not conducive for cutting paper, okay? It'll still get the job done. It's still very sharp. It seems to me they did a pretty good job on their edge alignment. Everything looks good. Overall thoughts, we got about less than a minute left. So let me just say this. Overall thoughts on the knife. Once again, I'm impressed with one of Casey's designs. And here's the deal. Here's the deal if you're new here. You know, I'm always going to be pumped up and hyper about a knife, but that's why we test knives the way we do or demonstrate them the way we do, okay? You can listen to me talk about it or you can watch it work. And this little sumbitch here, after being 6 or 7 times reviewed and cut and blah, 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 has held its own and done incredibly well. Thing to remember is this. I'm Scab. You're not. Casey, the MICROBURST's a home run. I'm gone, son.